it's me, Desiree. First video of the year. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday, a great new year, and 2022 will be even more wonderful and adventurous. But let's get started with our Spellbinders card kit of the month. For January, we get our cardstock. We get our 10 card bases and envelopes. We also get our sheet that tells us what's coming in our kit. Our roll of double-sided tape, a square of double-sided foam squares, some beautiful white iridescent sequins, our 6x6 paper pad. Now remember, this is not cardstock. It is a lighter weight. I'm going to say maybe just under 65 pounds, maybe 60 pounds, but it is perfect for layering, collaging, when it comes to on top of your card bases. And some beautiful designs are in this paper pad. And remember, this kit is called Truly, Madly, and Deeply. We get some 3D chipboard stickers, these awesome flags with the beautiful little bows and the glitter and the cute little statements, some glitter sentiments, and always my favorite, the die cut pack. I love this die cut pack. I think there are just some great images in here, great florals, sentiments. It really allows this kit to expand, and that would be my cat making that noise. I am so sorry. To expand the number of cards. Now, they get you going with 10, but there are so many more that you can make. You get a beautiful stamp set with sentiments that you can build and a nice stamp that you can color. And then a die that's going to create a banner. You have 2 different sentiments that can go inside, and you can add flowers to it. So let's get started with card number 1. I know I made 10 cards. I only have 9 videos. I have no idea where the 10th one went. And it's an awesome way to start out 2022. See, it's already starting to be crafty adventures. Only me, guys. Only me. Okay, so you can see we've got some of our die cuts. I'm using the double-sided tape to lay down my main panel. My panels have been cut to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I am going to be using my liquid adhesive as well to adhere my die cut pieces, and I have these circles that are going to come in from behind the wreath panel that I have. I will be using the double-sided foam squares to prop up my sentiment, and to just give my sentiment a little more stability, I'm going to take the second one, because you do get 2 of them. You get 2 of every die cut, and just to give it a little bit more stability, I'm going to double that up and then add my foam squares underneath that to just lay that across there. And then I'm going to add that last circle. I wasn't going to do that, but I decided, yeah, let's add that. I'm going to put that right up underneath the sentiment to help that sentiment stand out just a little bit more. I'm going to add some of the sequins. Again, these are white iridescent sequins, and I'm going to use my wax pencil to lift those up. I'm also going to add some to the center of the circles because you can't have enough sequins. They add shimmer, they have shine, adds a lot. For our next card, same thing, we're going to get our pattern paper panel down and put this down onto our card base. All these card bases are standard A2 size, which means they're 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. If you're making a portrait card, it's going to be a side folding. If you're making a landscape card, it will be a top folding. I'm going to place the one sentiment on top of a piece of gold foil and just trim around it, just eyeballing that. I have one of the frames too that was left after I pulled out that sentiment open, and I'm going to put that second one that I did detach from it, and I'm going to set that inside of that. So I wanted to add that gold mirror cardstock right underneath it, which will help accent the gold on the frame. I'm going to take one of the die cuts and just place that down underneath it, and then another die cut just to collage right there. I'm going to add some more of those sequins, and again, I'm using my liquid adhesive, and this is my Nouveau Deluxe. And yes, I still am finding red glitter all over when that just burst. For those of you that don't know, if you watch day 15 of the Christmas series, you will see it. Yeah, it's unbelievable. So here we go. Next card. Same thing. We're going to place our panel down with the double-sided tape. Now, I always have double-sided tape left over if I haven't used it for another project. And I also usually have the double-sided foam square pieces left over as well. So I always use those first. I know some people have asked, you know, do you get extra because you're on the team? No, I do not. Yes, they do send me the kits that I do work with, and I'm very grateful for that. And want to be transparent to you all when it comes to that. But I do save when it comes to the double-sided tape and the foam squares. The double-sided foam squares I usually use only for some pieces of the elements, but a lot of times, if you've seen my videos, I love to collage. So everything's flat and just laying on top of everything else. So there are times where I will use them, but for the most part, I'm just layering everything on top. I'm doing the same thing with the sentiment always. And I'm going to put that right across that tag to continue the sentiment. So again, you know, taking a die cut and then taking another die cut and just merging them together to create that, that's full sentiment for the card. Anything hanging over, I'm going to trim with my scissors. And once again, we're going to come in with those sequins, and we're just going to put those right on top of the balloons. Not adding a lot, but just a little bit. Now, this pattern paper has a lot going on with it. It's a beautiful, bright, bold print. As I struggle with the release paper, and it's perfect on its own, you know, just add a sentiment to this. But I did want to just block everything off. So to do that, and everything's very close in colors. So I'm going to put this on a piece of gold foil cardstock and then put that down onto the panel. And then we're just going to accent it with some other die cut pieces. And even for one of the die cuts, I am going to back that even onto some gold cardstock as well. Again, just to help that stand out, because there's also a lot of gold print within this pattern paper as well. So just to help them stand out, come to the foreground, to the front, so that the recipient can see them. And you can also do that with regular solid cardstock as well to help those pieces come out. Speaking of a pattern paper, where again, we let the paper do the work for us. That's why I love pattern paper. It does a lot of it, a lot of that work for us. And this, I just saw that in this pattern paper. It had a lot going on, some beautiful floral designs, but they weren't so large and they didn't have too many accents that I thought the simple smile glitter sentiment would be perfect for this with some of the same hearts. I'm just going to put that down in the bottom right hand corner. Did not lose the top of the eye, which I'm extremely excited about. And then some of these hearts do pull apart so that you can get, you know, multiple hearts from them. And I'm just going to have the hearts coming up on an angle up away from the sentiment. And very quick, but and a beautifully effective card. Going to add some sequins in between just to fill up some of those spaces and let the eye drag up to the left hand corner where the hearts are going. These are beautiful, and these will make beautiful Valentine's Day cards to give to that person. And there's the video. So somehow I lost the beginning of the video. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, you'll see the card at the end. But I could have sworn. You know, I've had a really long cold. And it's a cold. Boy, it just won't go away. So, yeah. Okay. So for the next one, again, I have my pattern paper background. You all think I'm nuts. I know you do. My pattern paper background. I cut a strip of another piece of pattern paper and then a very fine strip of the gold mirror cardstock and just layered those. Created this panel, which looks like steps. I have some of the chipboard pieces. I do like to add glue for those just a little bit. And I'm just gingerly, lightly placing those where I think I want them without pressing down too hard in case I need to move them. So I'm going to straddle them across the two pieces of pattern paper. And then we're going to add one of the chipboard butterflies and then one of these awesome little tiny flags. I just love them. I think they are just so adorable and dainty. For our next card, we're going to start with a rectangle background, and then we're going to move them into a square to create this background for some of our layering. I have a wider mirror border. When it comes to the Spellbinders mirror cardstock, I absolutely love it. And what I love about it is it's double-sided. So there's mirror on both sides. You can use liquid adhesive on it and it's fine, but it will slide around for a while. So I do like to remember, because most of the time I forget, to use the double-sided tape when adhering that onto anything. I'm going to take one of the chipboards again and a couple of them and set those in place. I'm going to use one of the small sentiments, set that down to the bottom. And then I'm going to take this larger one and have that pretty much sit on top of it, but down in the right-hand corner of that frame. I'm going to add some of the sequins, and that is that card. We're going to play with the stamp set. Sometimes I really never get to the stamp set or the die when I use this kit because I love the collaging. This kit draws me to that. It's what inspires me for it. Not saying that the stamp sets are not great, not saying that the dies are not great, but I do tend to focus on them. But the stamp that was in there, it just really did catch my eye. The heart with all of the florals. So I'm going to stamp this and the sentiment, and I love the sentiments with it because it's a sentiment builder. That, you know, you can take always and then just add a small sentiment underneath it. I'm going to stamp this in my Distress Oxide in ground espresso. So I'm going to stamp this a couple times. Now at first I'm going to make sure that I have the heart stamped. I kind of was thinking one thing and then went to something else. So I'm kind of constantly going back and forth pretty much on this one. I didn't want to put, because for the sentiment, I wanted to put embossing powder. For the florals at the heart at the top, I did not. But I was using the same base to stamp in. Before I get my sentiment stamped, I'm going to come in with some colored pencils. Now, this is very easy coloring. And I do apologize. I did not zoom in, but I am leaving the coloring in. I am literally scribbling. This is nothing fancy. I am not doing any fancy blends. I am just putting color at the base of the flowers and flicking upward into the petals. I will be coming in with some white for the tips, and that'll help blend where I stopped the flick. Not completely. You're going to see these pencil strokes. And I'm okay with that. I wanted it to be sketchy. I wanted it to have that looseness that somebody just real quick drew color, threw that color in there. I'm using my white eraser and a little bit of the sand. I very rarely like to use the sand. I realized there was a section of the Distress Oxide that was still wet, and my pinky went right through it and just drug it across. I did not move any of the stamps or the sentiments. Now I am going to stamp over what I colored because I wasn't worried about staying within the lines. So Prismacolor, since they are wax-based pencils, will tend to go over those lines and change the color of those lines. So I just want to make sure you really see that brown. I'm going to come in the embossing powder that I'm going to use, if I'm not mistaken, yes, is my gold. And I want to make sure that the gold is up on the always. So I'm using my triangles to make sure that it's up there. I'm going to use my clear for the heart and for the sentiment underneath the always. Now, is this the best way to do this? Absolutely not. Could you just stamp each of these individually? Yes. And then you would be okay. I didn't have any of the embossing powder mix or anything like that. I like the fact that when it came to the gold, it looks antique because I didn't get a full coverage when it comes to always, which is what I was looking for. Gold ages sometimes, and if it's not that high quality, you get these brown and black spots. So kind of looking at that so that it would accent the rose. So it was kind of intentional of what I was doing, but please do it the easy way. I kind of took the long way around because, again, as I'm looking at a card, I see it one way when I start, but as I'm making that card, I change. And I'm like, you want to know what? No, I want to do this. And sometimes I'm already far into it where it's like, okay, I got to improvise. All right, I'm going to have to do this if I want that look. So that's kind of where that card went. And again, I like to keep everything in there, or all the steps that I did, to show you how I did get there. I am going to add just a few of the sequins just to add even more sparkle. Played with the die, making that banner. We are going to set down our pattern paper down onto our card base. And then we are going to layer up our die, and we're even going to do a little bit of die cut inlay. So I cut the base behind the flag in gold, and then the top of that with the sentiment in black so that it would really stand out. I am using the double-sided tape to get a good connection between these two pieces, and I even remembered, because I was about to cover the gold piece and nothing but double-sided tape, and forgot, oh, there's letters there, and I'm not doing any die cut inlay on them, just the hearts, because I wanted the words to be in the gold and I want the hearts to be red. So I made sure I put the double-sided tape over the hearts that were open so that when I put these in there, they're going to be caught by the double-sided tape. So I actually thought about this one, and I was pretty impressed because usually I forget and I got to change something or I got to tear it apart. I'm going to take this panel, we're going to prop it up using the double-sided foam square, take off the release paper, put this right onto the gold banner piece. I did add a little bit of glue so that it would grab just a little bit quicker. I'm going to place this in the center, and one of the dies just adds texture, or at least I think it does. And it's this great rectangle. So I chose 3 of the cardstocks and just cut that. It's got this beautiful crisscross that goes down through it. I grabbed some twine first from my stash. I couldn't resist because there was a hole on top of that banner, and where there's a hole there, it's a tag. So we've got to have a tassel that's going up top there. So I'm going to put a bunch of glue behind that, set that down, and I'm going to come in with my reverse tweezers, Spellbinders, and just hold that in place so that it can grab. I'm going to set these rectangles in behind the banner. So you've got this kind of like this geometric background off of the plaid, the pale pink plaid. So every once in a while, you're going to see me take that banner and put it in place just to make sure that it's centered properly, or that they're seen, because I want to make sure that they are seen. Now, when I had my reverse tweezers on there, got a lot of glue on that. So just needed to make sure I cleaned those off. And again, using the double-sided tape to get this adhered down onto my card front. I'm going to use the tweezers to pick off the release paper because it was just fighting me all day. And I will set that down. So you've got these great pops of red from the hearts, but then you've got the softness of the gold and the background. We're going to add some sequins to the background, just to add even more shimmer and help accent that gold. So I hope you enjoyed 9 of the 10 cards that I made for this video. I am so sorry, but you know, that means I'm going to have a great year this year when it comes to the rest of my videos. As always, the links to Spellbinders, to their blog for even more inspiration, to their shop, and it's especially to their club kits. And what is great, there is a new club kit that they have come out, and you will be seeing that in my next video and the one after that. So make sure you check those links out. If you have any questions, make sure you leave those down below. Thank you so much for stopping by and taking time to watch the video. Stay tuned for 2022. There are many new things. You saw my intro. That's the first new thing. And I will be explaining that very shortly. So stay tuned for that. But we have so many ideas coming. Always remember what's most important for me, though. Always be creative, guys.